Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kisha. For those of you who don't know me, you can get to know my family better by using the link to Instagram and Facebook. There's also a blog that I haven't updated in quite some time, but you can find out a lot about my family from that blog, and that is linked below. If you're new here, please subscribe and hit that notification bell, and you will be updated every time I post a video. So I said I would film when I have time. Right now is my lunch hour, and it's quiet in the house. I feel like I can get in front of the camera for a few minutes and talk. So I wanted to do an update on AJ because I got so many questions about him. I've had people making up stuff. I've had people saying that he has autism and on the spectrum and all kinds of stuff. And I've even had people say that he is not being taken care of because, you know, his needs are not being met due to his medical issues. I normally would probably stray away from this kind of video, but since AJ is on film a lot, and since I know a lot of you have big hearts and you really want to know different things, I thought that today I would do an update. So last Friday we had the meeting with the developmental pediatrician. He went to his 3-year well child checkup, and I had to answer a lot of questions like on paper about his development, and he was delayed a little bit even from what I could see on my own. So his pediatrician recommended a developmental pediatrician, and that's the first time that's happened. On all of his other appointments, we talked about things, but nothing really was done. This time we went in for an hour, we talked about everything, and again he said that he recommended a developmental pediatrician so we could find out any and everything going on with him and get him prepared for, you know, starting school. So he's 3 years old right now. And I have some notes, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing. The appointment we had with the pediatrician was last Friday. Like I said, it was very detailed. It took over an hour, and by the time we got done with that appointment, it was virtual, and AJ was in it, not the entire time, but when they wanted to see him. There was a doctor and a physician's assistant, I believe, and then myself, Ryan, and AJ. So we did come away with some answers, and we also came away with some things to do, some upcoming appointments, or referrals. So the first thing she said is that she does not see him on the spectrum at all for autism, autism, Asperger's, any of that kind of stuff. She does not see him on the spectrum at all. He had good eye contact. He talked to her some, and he interacted with Ryan and myself really well during that appointment, and she could really do a good gauge on, you know, where he's at. So he's not on the spectrum, but he is delayed. His speech is very delayed. I think most of you know that from seeing him on film. Even though his family, myself, Ryan, Brittany, Jackson, we all understand him perfectly fine at this point. I think it's because we've gotten used to it. But his speech is delayed. Jackson's speech was delayed as well, and he took speech and everything was well. But coming off of speech, different things can affect your speech. One of the main things is your hearing. They suggested at his well child visit a hearing test, but I guess the developmental pediatrician was the one that really had to refer that, so they did. And we, by the way, are enrolled in speech. Problem is that they're so backlogged. So when I explained that to her, we're on a waiting list for his speech. She said she can work us around that. So yay to that. So he's going to start speech really soon, and he's going to get a hearing test. Even though we think he can hear us, if they're off just a little bit, it can really mess with pronunciation and his, you know, overall speech. So hearing test, speech class or lessons or whatever. His gait is off. When he runs a little bit funny. When he's going up and down the steps, most of the time he still likes 2 feet per step, and they really want to see 1 foot per step. And we're going to do some physical therapy for that. I'm going to talk more about the physical therapy in a second, but let's just stay on his gait for a minute. So when he is wobbling around, that could be an offshoot from vision. Again, the well child visit said that they wanted to check his vision, but no referrals ever came. I called a few times. I didn't get anywhere. So I just kind of thought they were backlogged due to COVID. But when the developmental pediatrician spoke with us, she's like, no, we need the eye appointment right away. And for a child, a toddler, trying to do an eye appointment, it's very different. So they have some 3D stuff, they have some holograms, like reach for the butterfly or whatever. So that's what we're gonna do. We're going to do the vision test, sorry. And we're going to start him in physical therapy to strengthen his legs, to get that gait right, and to address some other issues that I'll talk to you about in just a second. So, his fine motor skills, that's where he's using a crayon or a pencil and trying to get him to make a straight line. He can make an A and he can kind of make a J, but we are still working on that. And his motor skills, his fine motor skills, need a little bit of attention. So that goes along with drilling, because he slobbers still a lot. It still goes along with that. So we're gonna get some occupational therapy. Again, we're not gonna have to wait, at least that's what she says, not really long, maybe a couple weeks, but then he'll start the occupational therapy to work on those fine motor skills, which will definitely help him as he moves into preschool and kindergarten and first and second grade. Now, his potty training, he is completely potty trained when it comes to going pee in the potty. No issues there. Going poop in the potty is something else completely different, and AJ definitely is behind in that. So the test that the test and the different things happening is the hearing test and the vision test. The occupational therapy to help with the fine motor skills, the physical therapy to help with his gait and put more tone in his arm, and figure out why he drags his foot sometimes. I think it's just like him being silly, but we definitely want to look into that, because even on his, I believe it's his left shoe, you can tell on the toe of it that he has drug his foot a lot. Not sure why, but we're going to figure out why, and put some tone and strength into his upper body and his arms. And also to help him jump further, and with 2 feet in the air off the ground. That's what physical therapy is going to help us with that. And his speech therapy is going to be starting soon to help him talk clearer. So he takes anywhere from 1 to 3 grams of melatonin a night. He's very restless. Sometimes I thought he was having nightmares or night terrors, or I don't know, he'd wake up screaming, and then sometimes I'd find him with the blanket off. He's very restless, and they said like restless leg can be just like restless body in a toddler if their iron is low. Now, last time we had his iron checked, his iron was fine, but we are rechecking it to see about that. So she recommended a book. Now, AJ is in daycare, by the way, and they all bite in there. They all wrestle, if you will. They all push and shove, and it's 3-year-olds, a whole little class of them. So you can imagine how stressful that can be on the teachers and even on the children. So AJ has come home with bite marks. He's also bit. AJ has pushed, and he's been pushed. It's just like bouncing off of each other. You know, they copy each other in every way. So we have been having some discipline issues with him. Nothing serious, but stuff we want to address, stuff that we don't want to you know, put off and have to deal with in future, and when he's actually in school. So I have the Happy Toddler book. I will list that below, but she recommended a book that I had not heard about. It's 1, 2, 3 Magic. It's 3-step discipline for calm, effective, happy parenting. So I've ordered that book. I'm going to read it front to cover, and we'll find out if there's any good tips in that to help with some of his behaviors. We're also going to have PCIT, which is Parent-Child Interaction Therapy. That's over biting and temper. One time he got mad at me in the bathtub and threw a wet wash rag at me. And while it might seem funny, it's still like, you know, a little temper problem. So we're going to do probably 15 to 20 sessions of just basically coping with AJ. Now, AJ is a child that is very happy, very busy, very rambunctious, but I don't think the classes will hurt. Ryan and I both will be taking them. They'll just help us interact with him whenever he is having a meltdown, which, you know, all toddlers go through that. We just don't want that to carry on, and she recommended that. She also recommended that we go to Indianapolis, which is about an hour and a half away, in 6 months, so they can reevaluate him after he's been in these therapies, and they can do that in person. So around that time, it's October 1st, I believe we're going, and we will figure out how he's doing then after he started the therapies. Now, it is hard with time. It's hard to take off work, and it's hard to get all the kids to all the random appointments. AJ has by far the most things going on, but I'm lucky with Brittany and Ryan that we can all kind of shuffle him around. Brittany's more than happy to help. I probably will actually have to buy her a car seat or something, which will seem so weird, but we definitely have her to help us when she's not doing her classes or working, but there's quite a bit of wiggle room with her. Ryan started driving again about a year and a half ago, maybe. His license were suspended, but he got them back, and he bought a car, and he has full coverage insurance and his own car seat. So that's been a blessing, because for a long time it was just me doing all of the shuttling. So for a while now he's been able to help, and so he will continue to help. And then I have paid time off, which I'm very grateful for. My boss gave me that when I started, and I haven't used any of it except for AJ, and I'm still going to do that. I do hope to take off just maybe 1 or 2 days during the summer and add it to a holiday weekend, or, you know, a day in the week where there's an extended holiday break, and kind of get that little vacation in. But it's my first year there. I really don't want to take a full vacation. These paid time off days and hours really help when it comes to AJ and his appointments. I will definitely be for every first appointment. I don't want to miss anything. I am in communication with the pediatrician and the developmental pediatrician and the speech therapist and all of that kind of stuff. I am originally going to. Once we have it set up and I know that AJ is comfortable and I kind of know the routine, that's when Brittany and Ryan will kind of jump in at times and help. So yes, that's a lot. I hope that it is clear on, you know, what's going on with him. He is busy. He just is off on his speech. He needs to calm down and be able to write a little clearer and get a little more strength in his body. But if the physical therapist or the occupational therapist or even the speech therapist see any other issues, they will definitely be letting me know, and we can address them at that point. You know, no one in our family has any problem if AJ is delayed in this or that. I mean, obviously, we don't want him delayed, and we want him to start school in the best possible way, where he is, you know, right there with the other children. And I feel really good about getting the therapy now. I've been lit up in the past from a lot of people regarding not doing anything, and I can only go as fast as the doctors. I'm not smarter than his pediatrician. They know when it's time to test him, and I think really they were waiting until he was 3 years old. I don't think they were in a hurry to do any kind of serious testing, even the hearing and the vision, until he turned 3. That's the way it kind of feels to me, and it seems that way with the 3-year-old child checkup, and them recommending the developmental pediatrician. And you know, I feel so much better because I thought for a second when he didn't want to go over the cracks in the sidewalk and just some random little things lining up all of his cars, that maybe he was on the spectrum. And that's fine. We just have to learn how to live with that. And it's not just him living with something like that. It would be our entire family. So I wasn't putting anything off, but I do feel better now knowing that they don't believe he's on the spectrum whatsoever, so that does make me feel good in that regard. And it makes me feel good that he's going to get some of the therapies that he needs, speech, occupational therapy. He's also going to get the physical therapy, and then as a family we're going to get some therapy to deal with the small but present behavior issues that we see with him, so we can address them and move on. So I hope that answers some questions. You know, even with Jackson struggled with ADHD. He still has it to some degree, but he's learned to deal with it on his own without medication or therapies. And, you know, even with Jackson, you know, he still struggles at school. School has been something he's never been happy with, wanted to go to, do the homework. It has been a battle, and we're still in the last year of that battle, but you know, he is perfectly fine. He can talk clearer, and he can deal with his ADHD issues. It's not him needing to stay focused, it's just him simply not wanting to do it. And so we did deal with his therapies in the past, and all of the children are happy, healthy children, and we want the best for all of them. And hopefully with these therapies, AJ will, you know, move on up in the charts, and I'm very excited about them. I know you guys see him in a lot of videos. We are working with him a lot. He's very smart. I can ask him to go do something, go get something, what this is, what that is, what day of the week it is. That's what we've been working on. He can count. He knows his ABCs. He's very, very smart. We're just going to address the issues that we see as possible trouble areas. So there you go. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope hearing about little AJ will maybe make you look into whatever appointments your children may need. Sometimes we get busy in life and we don't get those appointments made, or we miss them, or we're just not able. And sometimes we just need to step back, take a breath, and just re-examine. So that's where we're at. I hope you have a great day. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.